All right, everyone, what's going on? This is Alex Cuesta, and I'm bringing you a little Cuesta Sports Extra from the Sports Opinions podcast. For everyone on IG Live here, hello, everybody. Everyone on Facebook Live, what's going on? And Spreaker Live, I have going on as well. For all you IG people, you see the microphone, you see the headphones. This has nothing to do with you guys. You guys should be able to hear me just fine the way you are. To all the Facebook people, you guys have seen this before. This is nothing new for you. So just jumping in, I really am getting tired of hearing about all the COVID-19 and coronavirus stuff. I don't know about everyone else, but I'm starting to not be able to stand it. So, what's a better way than just talking about some sports? Now, I know what people are going to ask. They're going to say, hey, Alex, sports are canceled. There are no sports. Why the hell do you want to talk about sports when there's nothing going on? Well, reason being, because sports are awesome. And I think we all realize how much we are missing out without sports. And I hate COVID 19. And just like all of you hate COVID 19, the topic today is going to be the most hated sports franchises that, in the United States. What I want everyone to do that's watching, that's listening, throw me your suggestions. If you have a franchise that you absolutely hate or you think is the most hated, throw it in there. Let me know. I got a bunch of suggestions from Matt Santos, contributor to Sports Opinions podcast, and K-Doc, Kyle Doctor, the host of We're Young But Just Us podcast on Sports Opinions. I'm going to go down. I'm going to start off with the NFL, and I'm going to go through all the sports leagues. I'm going to give you some of the credentials of the teams, a little bit of an opinion of why I think that they're the most hated teams around. Let's get started with the NFL. First and foremost, everyone I think will agree that this team is one of the most hated teams, the Dallas Cowboys. What else is there to say about the Cowboys? They have dubbed themselves America's team. Right there, that pisses a lot of people off, especially the people that are not fans of the Cowboys and have seen them just be extremely mediocre throughout their history so far. But one thing about the Cowboys is they are a team that has had a lot of excellence. They've been a really good sports franchise. They've had 5 championships to their name. That's a lot of freaking championships. If you know football, that's a whole boatload of championships. It's really hard to win a championship in football. They've had a lot of notable players. I'm just going to run down a few because you can't run down all the notable Cowboys. Troy Aikman, Roger Staubach, Michael Irving, as Santos said on IG Live, he's one of them. He definitely wouldn't approve. But Emmitt Smith, currently you have Zeke, you have Dak, you had Tony Romo and Jason Witten. I got to include them. Dion. So many great players that have coming through there. One thing that has always been a trademark, though, of Cowboys is they have a little bit of cockiness that goes in with them. If you're wearing the star on the side of your helmet, you have a chip on your shoulder. I don't care who you are. I don't care what era it is. I don't care if it's the John Kitna time of the Cowboys. There is a big sense of pride when you have the Cowboy star on. And I think with this comes the hatred. They step on the field and they think that they're going to win every single game. They think they're going to win a championship, when in reality they have been an 8-8 team for God knows how long. But overall, the Cowboys are one of the most hated teams, not only in football, but in all of sports. Brings me to another team that I think has gotten this mantle over the past 2 decades, and maybe now it's going to switch. The New England Patriots. New England Patriots, for the last 20 years, have undoubtedly been one of the most hated franchises, not only in football, but in all of sports. They have 6 championships to their name. Every single one of them won by the tandem of Tom Brady and Bill Belichick. Now, as a lot of sports fans have known, I don't think I'm breaking any news right now, that Tom Brady just went over to the Tampa Bay Bucks. So we will see if that breaks up some of the hatred that is there for the Patriots, for Tom Brady, for Belichick. And what's up, Dave Hyatt? Yeah, go Yanks, go Nets. I'll get to the Yankees. They're on this list. But just a few things that we'll go over why people hate them. The Tuck rule. If anyone remembers the Tuck rule, that is what started all of the hatred for the Patriots. It was against the Raiders. I'm pretty sure Raiders fans have not forgotten about the Tuck rule. It started Tom Brady. It started Bill Belichick down the path that they're on. There is also Spygate. There is also Deflategate. Those are three big scandals during the 20-year tenure that have caused so much hatred. And it's just something that is going to go with them, and it's going to go with Bill Belichick for the rest of the time that he coaches. Notable guys for the Patriots, obviously Tom Brady, obviously Bill Belichick. But we can't forget about Curtis Martin. Can't forget about Drew Bledsoe before him. Ty Law was on those teams. Bill Parcells was a coach that brought that franchise from being a terrible franchise over to a franchise that is actually legitimate, handed it over to Bill Belichick, who has made it become what it has become. So the Patriots are definitely one of the most hated franchises. I don't know if they're going to get some sympathy now that they've lost Tom Brady, now that it's just Belichick. Let's see if there's going to be some sympathy thrown at them. Or will they continue to win, and will we just continue to hate Belichick? Because if they do, I'm a Jets fan. I will continue to hate Belichick. Also, I'm curious to see with Brady if there's going to be some love for Brady now. Now that he's in Tampa Bay, if he plays well, are you going to have a lot of Jets fans like me or fans that hated him go to his side and like him? Let's see where that goes. I have a random two thrown in here that I don't know if people are going to agree with. K-Doc suggested the Buffalo Bills. He emphasized hatred for the Buffalo Bills. I don't know if there's a lot of hatred there, to be quite honest. They have no championships in the NFL. They have 2 AFL championships. They went to 4 consecutive championships with Jim Kelly and lost all 4. They did that all in the 80s, and since then have been pretty mediocre. Notable players are Jim Kelly, obviously, Thurman Thomas, Bruce Smith, Andre Reed, O.J. Simpson, and I don't know if there's much hatred for them. Yeah, Santos said you can't hate a team with nothing to hate on IG. And Hyatt over here on Facebook says 2001 Tuck Rule joke. And one of our good buddies, Ken Martinez, says good move for Brady. Division will be fun to watch. It will. But overall, yeah, I don't know if you can hate the Bills. Doc, you need to explain why you hate the Bills. I have no idea why you hate the Bills so much. And another throw in, Joe Hackett, who you've heard on this show before. Whatever reason, he hates the Chargers. Who hates the Chargers? Most of San Diego fans hated the Chargers for a long time. That's why they had to leave. But they're another team, 0 NFL championships. They made an appearance. They have 1 AFL championship. Notable players there, Phil Rivers, who's now gone, Dan Fouts, Lance Allworth, LaDainian Tomlinson, who was amazing, Junior Seau, Antonio Gates, Kellen Winslow. They've had some good players. They just haven't been able to put it together for championships. Another one, Joe Hackey. You're going to have to explain why you hate the Chargers. I don't understand why you hate them. We're going to jump on NBA. NBA has plenty of things to hate about it. A lot of people hate the NBA. A lot of people hate the NBA just because of the players and the style that they play. That a lot of people see them as not caring, not trying. Yeah, Dean Spanos does hate the Chargers. Santos, he definitely hates them. Dean Spanos is the owner, by the way. Anyway, in the NBA, first team or teams that I want to say is any team that LeBron James is on, not named the Cleveland Cavaliers, automatically gets hatred. The Miami Heat doesn't make my list, but they did have a lot of hatred when he was on them just because he left to go there. I don't know why everyone hates LeBron and his moves. It was good moves, I thought. A lot of people disagree with me. But now he is with the Lakers. Showtime. Lakers. Everybody hates Lakers. Everybody hates the Lakers. I will repeat it again. Everyone besides the Lakers really hates the Lakers. Mostly because of excellence. And you'll see a lot of the teams on this list that get a lot of hate have excellence. Looking at the Lakers, 16 championships. 16 championships. You can't think of the NBA without thinking of the Lakers as one of the teams right away that come to mind. Just to throw it out there, some of the players that they've had that are great. Jerry West, who happens to be the logo. Magic Johnson, Shaquille O'Neal, Kobe Bryant, rest in peace. Elgin Baylor, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, James Worthy, now LeBron and Anthony Davis. We can go on. We can have a whole podcast about the greatness of the Lakers and their franchise. But I feel like that's why they get so much hate. So much hate is because the Lakers are great. is because they've had these great players, is because they can attract a guy like LeBron James, who had no need to go to the Lakers and try and build and try and complete a legacy there. No need to go do that. But he did. And he's doing it just because it's the Lakers. It's pretty crazy. Santos, I said we couldn't name them all. Robert Horry, I know Robert Horry was great, but we can't name all their greats. But overall, it's just so crazy how many good players that they've had and the rivalries that they've created with so many teams. But with the Pistons, with the Celtics, who I'm going to jump onto right now, the Celtics, they're another team that is an extremely hated team. Extremely hated. I hate them. I'm a Nets fan. Can't stand the Celtics. But they're hated again for their greatness more than anything else. 17 championships. That's one more than the Showtime Lakers. And they had such a rivalry going for a long, long time. And they're another team that you could just go down the list of greats. A lot of fans of their own teams can remember their own greats. That's, I'm a Nets fan. I can probably rattle off Nets greats. But you can go and ask so many other people, I'll name a few Nets greats. They're not going to know. Name some Hawks greats. They might know Dominique. If you talk about Celtics, Lakers, you can name so many of those great players. Celtics, Bill Russell, Larry Bird, Paul Pierce, KG, Parrish, McHale, Ray Allen. And again, you can go on. That's just touching the surface of the great players that they have had. One of the main reasons I can't stand them, to be quite honest, is we talk about the Big Three era. We talk about the joining era, and everyone gives LeBron so much mess. The Celtics started the whole entire we're going to join up and win championships era. They completely and totally started that. KG, Paul Pierce, Ray Allen came together to win a championship. Kevin Durant. We rip LeBron James. We rip all these players that join other superstars to go win championships. We got to go back and realize it started in Boston. But I can imagine anyone older watching this probably has plenty of other reasons to hate the Celtics because the Celtics have just been so good for so long. And even when they were bad, they were relevant. And that's what makes a great team and what makes a hated person and a hated team. When you're bad and you're still relevant because people are just waiting for you to be good again. Another team that is hated that I think is going to come back next year and people are going to start hating them again because they're just going to be a fantastic team again. The Golden State Warriors. Now, the Golden State Warriors, I feel like they earned their hate in the second phase of their championship winning. Let me put this into perspective. They won some championships back when the Warriors, were in their, infancy. They were a team back in the day. But the most recent run with Steph Curry, with Klay Thompson, with Draymond Green, initially it was organic. It was a bunch of guys that came together, were drafted together, played well, the Splash Bros. They were fun to watch, and they won a lot of games. And they won championships. And I think people enjoyed watching that. In comes Kevin Durant. And that completely tarnishes everything that the Warriors are, everything that the Warriors built. And now the hate is just on them. This year they had a down year. The only superstar that was healthy on that whole team was Draymond Green. Both Steph Curry and Klay Thompson were out with injuries. I know Steph is back, but NBA is not back, so no one's back. But Steph is back from his injury, but it's still not the same. The hate isn't there this year because they're not winning a lot of games. Now that KD was there, KD is gone. The hate is still going to linger for KD being there and winning those championships. Whether or not the Warriors, Steve Kerr, can move on from the KD era and still win another championship, I still think this group is going to be tarnished and remembered for the fact that KD joined them. Some notable players from the Warriors: Wilt Chamberlain. I know a lot of people remember him as on other teams. Wilt was a great Warrior for a long time. Chris Mullin, a fantastic player. Rick Barry, another unbelievable player. And obviously Steph, Draymond, KD, and Kerr. One team you'll see not mentioned here in the NBA is the Bulls. And I don't understand how the Bulls aren't a more hated team. And I'm talking about the Michael Jordan Bulls, the Dennis Rodman Bulls, the Scottie Pippen Bulls, that dynasty that was there. How do they not have more hate than they do? I know it's a respect level that it seems like everyone has for Michael Jordan, but you put that exact team in this generation, they're one of the most hated teams of all time. Just because of their greatness, just because of Dennis Rodman being the guy that he is. People would think he was such a weirdo and would not be able to stand him. You'd have more haters for Dennis Rodman than anything. Scottie Pippen and his physical way of playing, the way he played defense and the chip that he had. The fact that there is less Bulls hate, and the only time you really see Bulls hate is when there's LeBron defenders, is when there's Warriors defenders. Those types of times is when you see people get on the Bulls. Besides that, the Bulls skate scot-free. I don't get it. Anyone that's from that generation that's not a Bulls fan, that watched the Bulls win, and if you don't hate them, please explain to me why. There's more of a hatred and rivalry between the Knicks and Pacers in that same generation than there is for anyone with the Bulls. Please explain to me. Put it in a comment somewhere. Why does nobody hate the Bulls? But with that, we're going to move on from the NBA. I know Chris just came in and said NBA sucks, but we're going to move on just so you don't have to be so mad about the NBA. We are going to jump into baseball. Baseball, I think it's obvious the top hated team in baseball. It's the team that I'm wearing, the New York Yankees. They're the top hated team, and once again, has a lot to do with greatness. 27 championships. Possibly half the great players of all time wore pinstripes at one time, if not there the whole time. They've been dubbed the evil empire. They have been great. They were terrible for a little bit in the 80s, don't get me wrong. But for the most part in their tenure, they have been absolutely great. And that breeds a lot of hatred. Just to go down a fraction of the great players, and I'm going to include some of the more recent guys. Babe Ruth, Lou Gehrig, Joe DiMaggio, Mickey Mantle, Roger Maris, Yogi Berra, Mo Rivera, Derek Jeter, Joe Torre as a manager. And then you have Aaron Judge, who can become a great if he can stay healthy. I'm not going to call Aaron Judge a great again yet because he's not healthy. Got to be healthy to be great. But there are guys on this current team that can be greats. And that's the thing with the Yankees. They always seem to push out greatness. And another reason why they're hated is the theory in the 90s of Steinbrenner buying teams. He did spend a lot of money. Don't get me wrong. But if you look at that 1996 team, at even the 1998 championship team, the core four was not bought. They had bought guys, don't get me wrong. Every great team has bought free agents, especially in baseball. But when you're looking at the Yankees, the best Yankees in a long time, their best guys, their core guys, were not bought guys. So that's just such a big thing that's been pushed because Yankee people hate the Yankees. And then another reason why the Yankees are hated, and I can kind of see this, is their dress code. You got to be clean shaven to be a Yankee. You cannot have all the hair. And you'll see guys, you saw Johnny Damon from the Red Sox come over to the Yankees. And when Johnny Damon was a Red Sox, he had that burly ass beard, looked awesome, comes to the Yankees and is clean shaven. It's a big difference. And people hate the fact that the Yankees treat this as a business and guys have to follow the code. But overall, the Yankees hate, I feel like, is mostly about greatness. And I'm definitely skewed because I'm a Yankees fan, obviously. Another team that's hated, and I mentioned them, the Red Sox. The Red Sox are an absolutely hated franchise. Not only by New York, but I think by a lot of people. Definitely New York-centric hate is legitimate. But I think a lot of other people hate them. They're another team that has greatness, though. 9 championships. I think they've been seen as a sympathetic figure in the last years, even though they've been fantastic, because of the curse that was put on them when they lost Babe Ruth. But if you look at them, they've had another team with some great players. They have 2 guys that I would possibly consider 2 of the best hitters of all time, in Ted Williams and Carl Yastrzemski, which is insane to think about. I just mentioned all those guys in the Yankees. I would never think that those guys were amazing, but the 2 guys I just mentioned on the Sox were fantastic. Then you have Carlton Fisk, you have Pedro Martinez, you have Wade Boggs, you have Manny Ramirez, you have Big Papi, who I hate Big Papi. Can't stand him. I think he's a cheater. But as long as he gets away with saying I didn't do steroids and everyone going, oh, I guess he didn't do steroids. You got to include him. But this is a team that is hated by, and I see you Santos on IG talking about that they're a bunch of professional bums. They look homeless. It's just what they go for. They go for the everyman kind of look. But I feel like that's also a part of the hatred with them. That the Boston people have a definite chip on their shoulder. It's completely and totally a different type of person. And I think people just look at them and it rubs them the wrong way. So the Sox are definitely a hated team. Kenny, you mentioned the Astros. They're on this list. They just made it. Because they're a bunch of cheaters. We talk about Big Papi being a cheater. The Astros, if they're terrible for the next few years, no one's going to remember them. No one's going to care. They cheated. They got caught. They went back to sucking. Now, if they figure out a way within the next 5 years to possibly win another championship, be really good still, oh man, they're going to go down in history as one of the most hated teams of all time. And that's without a doubt. Like I said, one of the things that breeds more hatred than anything is success. A lot of us right now hate the Astros, including me, because they cheated and they don't deserve to have a championship to their name. But, again, if they suck, no one's going to care. No one's going to care if they are a crappy team and they end up losing and all these guys who were superstars end up sucking. No one's going to remember them in history. No one's going to care about their blip championship that they cheated to get. But again, if they end up being good, if they still hit, if they still make the playoffs perennially, if they go to another championship, if they win another championship, the hate's going to be never ending. And I'm okay with that. I'm not okay with them winning. I'm okay with hating them. Last team in baseball that Matt suggested is hated is the Cubs. The only thing that I think hates the Cubs is baseball itself, the baseball gods. They finally got their championship, but God, their streak of losing and not getting to a championship, but losing there and not getting there and heartbreak was just an unbelievable thing. They've had some great players: Ernie Banks, Ryan Sandberg, Greg Maddux made his hay as both a Brave and a Cub. But they've had 3 championships to their franchise. Matt, I don't see all the hatred there, but I could definitely see, more of the White Sox hating them. I don't know. Anyone want to chime in on if the Cubs are a hated team? Let me know. I don't hate the Cubs. I feel nothing towards the Cubs at all. So we're going to jump over to hockey. Now, hockey's got some teams. I will admit, I'm not the most well-versed in hockey. Admitted. But the hockey does definitely have some other teams. And Hyatt, I got to disagree with you with the way that they did it. They did get caught. One of our commenters here, Dave Hyatt, says Astros did what others would have. They got caught. I don't think they did what others did. They did it in such a crappy way. Listen, everybody cheats. Sign stealing's a thing. The pine tar. All that stuff goes on. But they got caught big time. And they got dragged down. And it sucks. It sucks that they did it the way that they did it. And baseball is all about fake integrity as it is. And I call it fake integrity because it's one of the most least integrity sports I've ever seen. The players are constantly cheating. They do all these stupid fake fights. They throw the ball 100 miles an hour at each other's back for whatever reason. Crappy unwritten rules. But overall, they got caught. They pulled down the Red Sox with them because Cora's a damn cheater. And they deserve the book thrown at them. So I don't think that they did what anyone did. And Matt, explain to me why the Cubs are hated. You made a comment on IG here. I don't know why the Cubs are hated. You explain to me why the Cubs are hated more than anything because I couldn't tell you. But I'm moving on to hockey as well. So, Matt, if you chime me in, include me. I'll let everyone know. Moving on to hockey. Boston Bruins. If you hadn't noticed, there's a good amount of Boston on here. Everyone hates Boston. They have 6 Stanley Cups. Part of the reason why everyone hates them because they've been damn good throughout their history. Great players, notably for them. Bobby Orr, Phil Esposito, Cam Neely, Ray Bourque, Patrice Bergeron currently. Chara and Marchand are 2 also current players. I hate the Bruins. I'm a Devils fan and I'm a Habs fan, Canadians. Being a Canadians fan, it's in my blood to hate the Bruins. So, and I feel like just the way that they play, they're super physical on borderline of dirty in every single iteration of the team. Their fans love to kind of write it off as them being just, super physical, really tough, blah, blah, blah. They are one of the dirtiest teams in the history of the NHL. And I think that's why people hate them. There's really no other reason. They're an original six team. They have that going for them. Besides that, I can't say I like many guys on their team, and I don't like guys when they come over to my favorite teams. I don't care how good they are because they were Bruins. That's deep-seated of hatred there. Next team that's hated, the Flyers. The Flyers, they have 2 Stanley Cups to their name. I actually don't hate the Flyers, and I should. They're a Philly team. I hate most things Philly and Boston. Maybe it's because when I used to play Power Play 96, Eric Lindros was an absolute monster. But they have Gritty, who's a mascot that punches 13-year-olds in the back of the head. I guess that's not a good look. The Flyers, they've had some great players. They've had Ron Hextall, Mark Howe, obviously had Eric Lindros, Rob Brindamore, just some guys to note. And they're just, they're a Philly team. I feel like that's really what brings on the hatred more than anything. They're Philly. They're Philly, and I really feel like they prop themselves up like Philly fans all the time. All the time. Philly fans prop themselves up as much better than they are. And I feel like that's where it comes from, too. And nothing good happens when you go to Philadelphia. Let's be realistic there. Nothing good happens. South Jersey, they can keep Philly as well. You guys want it, South Jersey? You want to be fans of Philly? Just go annex to Pennsylvania. We don't want you anyway. Last team that's hated, and I definitely got to say they've earned this hate, the Pittsburgh Penguins. They got to be right up there with the Bruins. They have 5 Stanley Cups to their name. Mario Lemieux, Sidney Crosby, Jaromir Jagr, Malkin. Just scratching the surface on some of the great guys that they've had. Why do they get to go from Lemieux to Jagr to Crosby? Why do they get to do that? And why do they get to win constantly? Just stop. Stop. Nobody likes you guys. No, and Penguins are some of my favorite animals. I hate the Penguins. And I have respect for Sidney Crosby, but I can't stand the Penguins at all. So, overall, Penguin hatred is real. Everyone should hate the Penguins. And Matt filled me in on the Cubs hatred. He said it's because they use losing as their main advertisement for 100 years. Always somebody else's fault. So, and they did ruin a guy's life. So, that is definitely true. We're going to jump from the NHL, though. We're going to NCAA football here. NCAA football has a lot of rivalries, a lot of things that go on. And I just narrowed it down between, K-Doc gave me 4 teams that he said are some of the most hated. First and foremost, the Alabama Crimson Tide. 21 national championships. 21 national championships. It's an insane history that they have. And they've gone from having a great coach such as Bear Bryant to Nick Saban and so many others in between of greatness there. Just some great players. Mark Ingram, Derrick Henry, recently Tua Tagovailoa, Minka Fitzpatrick, Trent Richardson in the past. Even though he was terrible in the NFL, he was an amazing college football player. Amari Cooper, Jerry Jeudy, and that's just some. Don Hudson. Like, there's guys in history that were great collegiate players. I think they're hated because of their greatness. They're hated just because they're so good. It's really difficult to really put a grasp on why they're hated so much. I know I hate Bama, and I think part of it might be if you like a major program. If a major program is one of the things, like I'm a big-time Florida State fan. I love Rutgers, Florida State. Because I'm a Florida State fan, I think it's in my blood to hate another major program that has success. And if you're an SEC fan, you obviously hate Alabama for so much of their dominance. So I'm sorry to Facebook fans that I'm buffering. Let's see. Trying to get it. Sorry, everyone, for the silence. Just trying to talk to my Facebook fans about getting back the picture there, because apparently it was buffering. So, but anyway, yeah, there was just so many greats for Alabama and so many national championships, and I feel like that's one of the main reasons why they are hated. Next team that's hated has a legitimate reason why they are hated. Penn State Nittany Lions. For a big sliver of time there, the only people that liked Penn State and the only people that defended Penn State were Penn State fans. The whole Jerry Sandusky scandal, where Joe Pa, sorry everyone, sorry Penn State fans, Joe Pa knew. Joe Pa knew, and he didn't say anything. Overall, they're hated, I feel like mostly because of that scandal. Again, 7 titles. Greatness does breed hate, but I feel like that's the whole main reason why Penn State is hated and still hated to this day. Because of all of those, because of that big time scandal that went on. They've had some great players in their time. Great players. Kerry Collins, Saquon Barkley recently, LeVar Arrington, John Cappelletti is their only Heisman winner. Larry Johnson, LJ came from there. So many great players, again, just not going to go over all of them, just touching the surface. The main reason why they're hated has to be the Joe Pa not knowing, quote unquote, with the Jerry Sandusky, because the Jerry Sandusky stuff just brings a disgusting bad taste to all of our mouths. And Hyatt, yeah, it is a real shame about Rutgers basketball. They were having a great year. They were tournament bound. It is what it is. It was a good stepping stone. They weren't going to win a national championship. And it's just really good to see them playing well. And hopefully they get some recruits and it brings some good stuff to come. Next team that's hated. And I feel like they're hated for the main reason that they are a flashy team. Michigan Wolverines. 16 national titles. 16. That is a lot of national titles. It's not Alabama, but 16 is a lot. They have Desmond Howard, who a lot of people consider to be one of the greatest collegiate football players of all time. He's famous for running back and doing the Heisman pose. They have Charles Woodson, arguably the best two-way player in college football history. He was a legitimate wide receiver and the best defensive back possibly in the history of college football. They have guys like Braylon Edwards, Bo Schembechler, one of the best coaches collegially of all time, and now currently Jim Harbaugh. I feel like the initial hate was for guys like Desmond Howard and for guys like Charles Woodson and the greatness that they brought and the cockiness that they brought. Michigan, they would step on the field, especially in their heyday, and they knew they were good. They weren't scared of their rivals in Penn State and Ohio State. They weren't scared of anyone. And they came on and they played their asses off and they won football games. Heck, I grew up a Michigan fan. I liked Michigan. I went to Manchester Township High School. Colors were blue and gold, Big M, Michigan. I enjoyed them. Switched my allegiances as I got older and realized I can't stand them. But Michigan has a lot of hate. And I don't know why I hate them. I do, though. I hate them. And I think I hate them because of their cockiness. A lot of people hate them now because of Jim Harbaugh. And Jim Harbaugh brings a certain swagger to him. And honestly, he's not producing. And I feel like it's a sense of a joke around for everyone that they're not winning. But you know what, though? Again, greatness breeds hatred. And Hyatt, the hiring of Juwan Howard for Michigan basketball is awesome. And giving the league Saquon Barkley is great, but I'm a Jets fan, so I don't care. It's Saquon Barkley's on the Giants. Last NCAA football team that was suggested to me that is one of the most hated teams is Ohio State. 8 national championships for Ohio State, and I really don't hate them, but I could see why people do. They've had greats such as Eddie George, Troy Smith, Orlando Pace, recently Chase Young, Ezekiel Elliott, Joey Bosa in 2005 graduating, Chris Carter, one of the best wide receivers in the history of football, all came from Ohio State. So I don't know. I think they're hated again for greatness, and I think for the rivalry. The Big Ten really, their rivalries are bigger than most others. The SEC might be the best conference, but I feel like the Big Ten has the most history in it. And Ohio State is just hated, again, because of winning, because of greatness, because they walk around going, you're from the Ohio State. Nobody cares. Nobody cares about being from the Ohio State. That's corny. But they do it. And the swagger is there. And the pride is there. And whenever anyone shows so much pride, I feel like people really want to just gravitate to hating them. So take what you can. Definitely a hated team. I don't know if they're most hated, but we will see. And last but not least here on my handy thing, notebook here. Now, mind you, I'm only talking about American sports, most hated teams in American sports, not necessarily overall. If I was going to talk about hated teams internationally, definitely would have to go into soccer, would have to go into Man City, Man U, and we're not going all there. And I'm not including MLS because MLS doesn't have enough of a culture here to include them as hated teams. Last group I'm going to go through, NCAA basketball. Got to start with the Dukies. Easily the most hated team. Easily. And it's not close that Duke is the most hated team in all of college basketball. And it's interesting because they're the most hated team with possibly the most beloved figure. Everybody hates Duke unless you're a Duke fan. But I don't think anybody hates Coach K. It's the weirdest anomaly I've ever seen. You can really hate Duke. Like, I don't like Duke, but I respect the hell out of Coach K. I don't see Coach K doing anything wrong in my eyes. The guy is fantastic. And no, Santos, I did not answer your Desmond Howard question. The IRS or Des Howard being scarier in Akron. That's ridiculous. But just going over some of the guys, some of the notable names, which are so many. Coach K, Christian Laettner, who has had an army of hatred against him. Grant Hill, Jay Williams, JJ Redick, recently Zion and Brandon Ingram. They've had so many more greats. Again, another group with such a great history. And that history definitely breeds hateness. And you have guys like Grant Hill, who, not injuries, might have been one of the greatest players in the history of basketball. But Duke gets a lot of hate because of the way they carry themselves. I would hate to make this comparison because I'm not a Duke fan, but it's similar to the way the Yankees carry themselves. They try to be super businesslike. They try to be super professional-like to the point where they're better than you as people. You really get that feeling that when you see Duke go onto the floor, when you see Duke compete, there is a smugness about them. There is I know I'm better than you about them. And it's something that really rubs people the wrong way that unless you're a Duke fan, you definitely hate them. I know I hate them. So, go away, Duke. And Christian Laettner, he might be the only guy I feel bad for on that whole entire thing because he got so much more hate than he deserved. Anyway, next team that is hated is Duke's direct main rival in their own state, UNC, North Carolina. They have one more championship, 6 championships, so they can hold that over Duke's head. They've had great players and great coaches. Coach Roy Williams, obviously Michael Jordan, Antoine Jamison, James Worthy, Psycho T, Tyler Hansborough, Harrison Barnes, Reggie Bullock, currently both still playing. UNC, it's weird because, again, during the MJ time, I feel like they were kind of untouchable during the NJ time. That they were, everyone for some reason gravitates to Michael Jordan. He was such a fun guy. But once Roy Williams got a hold, the hate flowed. And I think a lot of it's from Dukies, but it's also from everywhere else and everyone else that likes another major program. And again, UNC also has that pedigree about them. They also have that we know we're better than you about them. They're considered one of the blue bloods of college basketball for a reason. Even when they're not winning, they get so much more respect, especially when it comes to tournament times and things like that. All these teams that I'm going to talk about, and there's only 3 here for basketball, which there's obviously so many more, but all these teams that I'm talking about will get better seeds in a college tournament, in the NCAA tournament, just because of who they are. They might not deserve it, but they get them. So UNC is a hated team, I think just because of how they are. They were hated for Tyler Hansborough time because Tyler Hansborough was just a little wiener. But I think they're another team that's hated for their greatness. Finally, a team that I could definitely see hated. I know I can't stand them, and I never could. University of Kentucky. 8 championships. And it just seems like they always have a great coach. And in collegiate sports, especially basketball, it's all about the coach more than the players because of the recruiting aspect. For whatever reason, Kentucky always finds themselves having awesome coaches and great recruiters. Rick Pitino, who is now the Iona coach for whatever reason at Iona. He was one of the greatest coaches ever there. And then you have Tubby Smith there, who it fell pretty quick with Tubby Smith, but Tubby Smith was great while he was there. And now you currently have John Calipari. And it's just ridiculous that they keep on getting these amazing coaches that can recruit so well. And then you have guys like your John Walls, your Anthony Davis, your Boogie Cousins, your Karl Anthony Towns. And that's only the recent guys that they can continue to recruit. And it's just unfair, especially during the time of one and done. It was unfair. And that's, and I could probably go back to UNC and Duke as well. It is hated for them because they recruit so well and because they can recruit so well and these names, and they constantly get these coaches that can bring kids in that other schools can't. So it is such a big deal that these guys can constantly get what they get. And, sorry, all these teams deserve all the hate that goes their way. So that's all I got, guys. Those are the teams that I got that are the most hated. If you want to know the teams that I hate, I can kind of go down the list. I kind of hate the Eagles in football. Can't stand them. Really pissed that they won a championship, but for the Jets, I don't hate the Giants. I hate the Giants fans. When they're good, they're insane, and I can't stand them. Anybody else that I really hate in the NFL? I can't think of that. Basketball-wise, Knicks fans, because you guys continue to go to the games and continue to patronize that team, and you won't allow your owner to sell because you guys continue to go there, and it's completely and totally your fault why the Knicks continue to have the owner that they have. I'm not even going to mention his name. It's not worth mentioning it. Any other NBA teams that I hate? I hate the Sixers. Obviously, I'm a Nets fan. Joel Embiid's a weeb. Can't stand Joel Embiid. Who else do I hate in the NBA? I said the Celtics. I hate the Celtics, obviously. The Raptors aren't relevant enough. I know they won a championship, but I don't care about the Raptors to hate them. Hockey, as a Habs fan, I hate all the original six. Can't stand any of them. They can all, go somewhere. Don't like any of the original six teams in hockey. In baseball, obviously the Red Sox. Obviously, I can't stand the Phillies. I mentioned that I can't stand anything Philly. Can't stand the Phillies. Anyone else? I really don't care about the Blue Jays. I know they're a rival because they're in division. I don't care. I don't care about the Mets. Sorry, Mets fans. You're not relevant enough for me to hate. It's just whatever. It's not a big deal. Yeah, I can't really think of any other teams in baseball that I really hate. Not really worth hating. Besides the Astros. Hate the Astros. I'll mention it again. I hate you, Astros. And I'm going to remember, and I'm going to hate you for a really long time. Who else do I hate? NCAA football. I don't know. Rutgers doesn't really have a single rival. I hate the Miami Hurricanes. I'm also a Florida State fan. Hate the Hurricanes. Hate the Hurricanes. Hate the Florida Gators. Obviously, both Florida teams. Can't stand either of them. Don't like Clemson being in the ACC. Don't hate the fact that they've taken over Florida State as the pedigree team in the ACC. So I can't stand Clemson, Dabo Swinney, and his nonsense. And in basketball, really the teams I mentioned, Hyatt, you mentioned Kansas. Kansas, I can't stand them either. I can't stand any of the blue blood teams because, again, they get things they don't deserve. And that's happening in football, too, in college football. If you're a blue blood, that's a thing now, being a blue blood football team. Because when it comes to committee time, you see the same exact names going into the college football playoff right now. And it has everything to do with who they are and less to do with what they've done. So that's fairly annoying. But besides that, I really don't have many other teams that I hate. So overall, everyone, I know this list, people might listen to this and they might think it was dumb. It was really just a way for me to try and get everyone's mind off of currently being quarantined, currently all this COVID-19 stuff, and the scariness of it, and the fact that we have no sports right now. I think we're all as fans, we're realizing how much we love sports, we need sports, and how much we need to pay these guys what they make because they continue to entertain us. They give us things to talk about. I'm going to try and think of more topics. I'm going to try and do some more stuff like this because I had fun doing it. And again, as we continue to sit here going through the quarantine stuff and everyone being nervous, let's get our mind off of it. Let's continue to talk some sports and let's have some fun doing it. So everyone, thanks for watching. I hope you had fun doing it. Anyone on Facebook, I'm sorry if the buffering or if the video wasn't great. The internet must be sucking right now. But overall, again, thanks everyone. Really appreciate everyone watching. Hopefully we'll have some more Cuesta Sports Extras coming on. If you like what you saw, spread the word. Sports Opinions Podcast itself. It's a fun show. I have great people on all the time. Hopefully looking to have on some more great guests. I know we've been on a little hiatus the last few weeks. Things have gotten tricky with COVID-19, obviously. So it's been a little tough, but we're going to get back on track with getting guests overall with all this stuff. What else? Definitely check out Cuesta Dos. I'm going to be recording a show with David tomorrow. You can hear mine and his opinions on sports. It's going to be tough to continue, but me and him will just always find something to talk about. Also, Personal Foul Podcast, our buddy Colton Gesser, he's on there. He's a part of the Sports Opinions Podcast Network. Go look him up. Listen to him. He's another one that has awesome guests. We're Young But Just Us with Kyle Doctor. Literally anything K-Doc wants to talk about. He covers sports, but he also does comics. He does all that type of stuff. Really fun. I would love for everyone to give the Facebook page a follow. Just go search the Sports Opinions Podcast. You can follow it there. If you're watching on Instagram, thank you. Spread the word at Sports Opinions 30 on Instagram, on Twitter at Sports Opinion, no S 30. Go follow there if you're not already. And just continue to spread the word here. I'm trying to do some fun stuff, trying to talk some sports, and really enjoying doing what I'm doing. I'm going to continue to do it. And hopefully my internet gets better so Facebook won't be so choppy. So everyone, again, thank you so much for watching. Hopefully to do more of these. Cuesta Sports Extra. So long.